The rain hammered down on the cracked pavement of Road 9 as Emma Rodriguez wiped down the grimy countertop for the third time that hour. Outside the fluorescent glow of Stop N Go gas station, November darkness had settled over the small town of Ridgemont like a heavy blanket. Her stomach growled. The peanut butter and jelly sandwich in her bag was supposed to be lunch, but the afternoon rush never came and now it was nearly 8 o'clock. Her shift had started at noon. Emma pressed her palm against the window, watching the storm intensify. At 23, she had imagined her life would look different by now. College had been a dream deferred when her mother got sick. The medical bills came like waves, relentless and crushing. Now Mom was recovering, but the debt remained. This gas station job was her second of the day. She cleaned offices from 5 to 10 in the morning, then came here until closing. Sleep happened somewhere in between. A flash of movement caught her eye. Near the dumpster behind the gas pumps, something dark and matted limped through the rain. Emma squinted. It was a dog. A large one, maybe a German Shepherd mix, moving with the painful slowness of an injured animal. Its fur was soaked and clumped with mud. Even from this distance, she could see its ribs. She had seen this dog before. For weeks now, it had been lingering around the outskirts of the station, never coming close, always watching from a distance. Other employees had complained about it. Her manager, Rick, had even called animal control twice, but they never showed up. Budget cuts, they said. Not enough officers for every stray. Emma reached into her bag and pulled out her sandwich. The plastic wrap crinkled in her hands. Her own stomach protested, reminding her she had skipped breakfast to make her morning shift on time. But the image of that dog, shivering and alone in the downpour, made her decision simple. She grabbed an old plastic container from under the sink, placed the sandwich inside, and stepped out into the rain. The cold hit her immediately, soaking through her thin work vest. The dog saw her coming and backed away, its eyes wide with fear and something else. Distrust, the kind that comes from too many cruel encounters with humans. Emma stopped several feet away and knelt down, setting the container on the wet concrete. Come on, friend. I know you're hungry. She kept her voice soft, soothing. The dog watched her with intelligent brown eyes that seemed far too human. It was a female, Emma realized, and she was terrified. Slowly, Emma backed away toward the station entrance. She stood in the doorway, rain dripping from her hair, watching. The dog waited for what felt like an eternity. Then, driven by desperation stronger than fear, she crept forward. Her movements were stiff, painful. One of her back legs barely touched the ground. When she reached the container, she devoured the sandwich in seconds, barely pausing to chew. Emma felt tears mixing with the rain on her cheeks. How long had this creature been surviving out here? How many people had passed her by, too busy or too indifferent to care? What she did not know was that across the parking lot, sitting in a dark Tesla with tinted windows, someone had been watching the entire scene. Cameron Walsh had pulled off Route 9 to check his phone and wait out the worst of the storm. At 41, he was the founder and CEO of NextGen Solutions, a tech company that had revolutionized cloud computing. His face had been on the cover of Forbes twice. His net worth had recently crossed $3 billion, but right now, none of that mattered. He had watched this young woman, this gas station employee, give away what was clearly her own meal to a suffering animal without a moment's hesitation. He had filmed the whole thing on his phone, something about the moment striking him as profoundly important in a way he could not quite name. Cameron had been driving for hours coming back from a meeting in Boston, thinking about the new philanthropic foundation his team was pressuring him to start. Tax benefits, they said. Good PR, they said. But it had all felt hollow and calculated. Another business strategy wrapped in the language of compassion. Watching Emma in the rain had cracked something open inside him. This was what real kindness looked like. Not a press release or a tax deduction. Just one person seeing another creature in pain and responding with the only things she had to give. Inside the station, Emma had toweled off and returned to her post behind the counter. The dog had vanished back into the darkness, but Emma felt a small warmth in her chest despite the chill. She would bring extra food tomorrow. Maybe over time, the dog would learn to trust her. Maybe she could save enough to take her to a vet. The electronic chime announced a customer. Emma looked up to see a man in an expensive rain jacket walking toward the counter. He was tall, with graying hair and the kind of casual confidence that came from never having to worry about money. She had seen enough wealthy travelers pass through to recognize the type. "Can I help you?" Emma asked, putting on her customer service smile despite her exhaustion. Cameron Walsh set his phone on the counter. "I just watched you do something remarkable." He turned the screen toward her. The video showed Emma kneeling in the rain, setting down her sandwich, backing away with such gentle care. The image quality was surprisingly clear. Emma felt her face flush. "Oh, that was nothing. Just a hungry dog." It was not nothing. Cameron's voice was serious. "Can I ask you something? Was that your dinner?" Emma hesitated, then nodded. "Just a sandwich. I can make another one when I get home." "What time does your shift end?" 11. "And then what? You go home and sleep?" Emma laughed, a tired sound. "I wish. I have to be at my other job by 5 in the morning, cleaning offices downtown." Cameron studied her for a long moment. 2 jobs. Long hours. And you still gave away your food. "Why?" Emma shrugged, uncomfortable with the attention. "Because she needed it more than I did. Because nobody else was going to help her. Because it was the right thing to do." She met his eyes directly. "What else would I do? Just let her starve." "Most people would," Cameron said quietly. "Most people do." He picked up his phone. "I want to share this video. With your permission. I think people need to see this kind of compassion. But more than that, I want to help you help that dog. And I want to help you." Emma felt a jolt of suspicion mixed with hope. "I don't need charity. I'm managing fine." "I know you are." Cameron pulled out his wallet and extracted a business card. "But managing and thriving are 2 different things. My name is Cameron Walsh. I run a tech company called NextGen Solutions. I have been thinking a lot lately about what real generosity looks like. And you just taught me more in 5 minutes than I have learned in 20 years of business." Emma stared at the card. NextGen Solutions. She had heard that name before. Was not that the company that just donated computers to all the schools in the state? Her eyes widened. "You are that Cameron Walsh," he nodded. "And you are someone who understands something fundamental that I have forgotten somewhere along the way. Kindness is not about grand gestures. It is about seeing someone in need and responding with whatever you have, even when you have almost nothing yourself." Over the next hour, as the storm began to clear, they talked. Cameron learned about Emma's mother, the medical bills, the deferred dreams of college. Emma learned about Cameron's recent crisis of purpose, his feeling that despite all his success, he had lost touch with what actually mattered. They talked about the dog, and Emma's hope of somehow helping her. When Cameron finally left the station that night, he had made Emma several promises. First, he would hire a veterinary team to safely capture and treat the stray dog. Second, he would cover all expenses for the animal's care. Third, and most importantly, he wanted to offer Emma a job at NextGen Solutions. Not charity, he insisted, but a real position in their community outreach program, developing initiatives to support service workers and address animal welfare in underserved communities. The salary would be enough for her to quit both her current jobs, finish her college degree, and still help her mother with medical expenses. Emma had cried, real shoulder-shaking sobs of relief and disbelief and overwhelming gratitude. But Cameron had stopped her. "You are not crying because I am giving you something you did not earn. You are crying because the world finally recognized what you have been giving all along. Your compassion, your resilience, your humanity. That video I took. I am going to share it, with your permission, because people need to be reminded that heroes do not wear capes. They wear gas station uniforms. They work 2 jobs. They give away their last sandwich to a creature who cannot thank them." 3 months later, the video had been viewed 40 million times. Emma had become an unexpected symbol of everyday kindness. Though she remained uncomfortable with the attention, the dog, now named Hope and fully recovered from malnutrition and an infected leg wound, had been adopted by Emma and her mother. Emma was enrolled in online classes, working toward her degree in social work, while developing a nationwide program through NextGen Solutions to support service workers and fund animal rescue operations in small towns. Cameron had found his purpose. The foundation he created, inspired by that rainy November night, focused not on flashy donations, but on identifying and supporting ordinary people doing extraordinary things. People like Emma, whose quiet acts of compassion changed the world one sandwich, one moment, one connection at a time. The truth Emma had always known, and that Cameron had needed to remember, was simple. Kindness is not measured by what you have to give. It is measured by the willingness to give what you have. One sandwich. One moment of empathy. One choice to see suffering and respond with love instead of indifference. That is how the world changes. Not through grand proclamations, but through small acts of compassion witnessed and repeated, rippling outward like raindrops in a puddle. Touching lives in ways we can never fully predict or measure. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Pure Keenness Stories. Share this with someone who needs a reminder that compassion still exists, that good people are everywhere, and that sometimes the smallest act of kindness can change everything. Your support helps us continue sharing these stories of hope and humanity. Thank you for being part of this community. Together we can inspire a kinder world, one story at a time.